This is a video for iRT's Vermi Compost project. This is procedures, datas, goals, and everything you could ever need to know about vermicompost. So in this project we are working with a fertilizer called H2H, Harvest to Harvest, that comes from this company, California Safe Soil. It was brought to us by Dan Morash, father of Pingree alum and students, who wanted us to test his natural fertilizer against traditional chemically produced fertilizers such as Scott's Lawn Miracle-Gro. His fertilizer, H2H, is produced from enzyme digested food. It takes a bunch of composted food, puts it in a big container that mixes it about with a bunch of enzymes, and produces this brown mush that he hopes can fertilize grass in a way that is just as good or better than chemically produced fertilizers. This is a big bucket of H2H. It's brown mush, it's disgusting, it smells as bad as it looks. And this is dropped off by Mr. Morash. This is the fertilizer we use to test the grasses out there. We have a nice set of land that we used out there. So how we tested this, we took 5 test groups. One test group was a control test group of grasses that we didn't do anything to, we just let them grow. Our second test group was a group that was fertilized by H2H. A third test group was a group fertilized by Scott's Miracle-Gro. Our fourth test group was a group fertilized by a half dosage of H2H, so we used half as much on the same amount of land. And our fifth group was a group that was fertilized by a half dosage of H2H and a half dosage of Scott's Miracle-Gro. So, how we did this. We were given a big plot of land right out here behind the school, and we measured out a 25 by 25 meter box. In this box we split it up into 25 smaller 5 by 5 squares. Now, in this big box, we randomly assigned 5 little plots to every test group. Using a random number generator, we went through and assigned each plot an A, B, C, D, or E, depending on which group they were. A being a control group, B being the H2H fertilized, C being Scott's Miracle-Gro, D being half H2H, and E being half H2H dosage and half Scott's Miracle-Gro. So, at the beginning of testing, you have to fertilize each plot of grass. Once you assign a plot of grass to a specific fertilizer, what you do is you fertilize a 4 by 4 square in each of these boxes. You have to leave a half-meter buffer zone around every edge so that there's no overlap between the Scotts or something else. The way we did this, we put stakes in between every single box, stakes that we bought at Home Depot, and then in that we just tried to fertilize the center of the square. We used a measuring tape and measured out 4 meters on each side and tried to fertilize in the center there. More concentrated in the center, and as we moved out, we tried to distribute evenly, but one of the problems we faced was distribution method for the H2H especially because of how thick it is. We used a normal watering can, but it wouldn't come out of the hose the nozzle because of how thick the H2H was. So, one thing that you could do is find a better way to distribute the fertilizer. Now, you only have to fertilize once every couple of months. You will fertilize the grass, and then you will take samples of the grass, measure how tall the grass is, and see how, and send these samples off to a Rutgers laboratory, which will send back stats like cell matter, nitrogen content, carbon content, and important things that you can analyze later. Then after about 2 months, you have to fertilize again. It may be more than that, maybe less than that. You have to talk to Mr. Marsh about what he wants to do for this specific experiment. Okay, so now we'll do how we fertilize each separate plot. So the first group is the control group. That's easy. You don't have to do anything to those plots. Just make sure nothing gets on those plots. Second group is the Vermi Compost H2H fertilizer group. What you do to fertilize this is you take a big bucket, maybe a bucket about this size. We use our watering can as a mixer. And you mix 4 parts water to 1 part H2H. We used these beakers. We took 4 liters of water and 4 liters of water and 1 liter of H2H. Literally just dump this in there. Your hands are going to get a little bit dirty. It's a little bit gross. It's really gross. It smells terrible, but it's not that bad. And you mix 1 liter of this with 4 liters of water in a bucket, and you distribute it in 1 square. That is 1 square's worth of fertilizer. So you do that 5 times. If we let's say A, 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 A. For all these A squares, you do absolutely nothing to them. Those are the control groups. Then you have your B's. Five B's, you mix 5 liters, 1 liter of H2H, 4 liters of water for each of these squares, and you distribute them on the 4x4 plot that you measured out to, and you distribute them on the 4x4 plot that you measured out earlier. For the next group, Scott's Miracle-Gro, that's group C. For all the C's, you measure out, with the triple beam balance, you can measure out 500 grams of Scott's Miracle-Gro, which looks like these little, really, really tiny green-gray pebbles. You measure out 500 grams of that and just spread them out across one of the blocks. You spread them out across your 4x4 previously marked out area in every single C box. That's 500 grams of Scott's Miracle-Gro, little pebbles. So then you got your D's. 1, 2, 3. So D is a half dosage of vermicompost. You still want a 4-to-1 ratio of the vermicompost and of the H2H fertilizer and water, but you want half the amount. So you're gonna go for half a liter of vermicompost H2H and 2 liters of water. And you're going to spread that around in the 4x4 previously marked out square for each of the 5 plots. And then last but not least is your half H2H, half Scott's Miracle-Gro. This is going to be the same amount of H2H as you just used. It's going to be half a liter of H2H mixed with 2 liters of water, and you're going to distribute that along, and you're going to distribute that in the 4x4 meter square that you previously marked out. And then on top of that, you're going to measure out 250 grams of Scott's Miracle-Gro of the little pebbles, and you're going to distribute that along the grass as well. And that's initial fertilizing.
Hi, my name is Bridget Harrison, and I'm here to explain the protocol for our iRT H2H Vermi Compost project. First, what we did was we gridded out 25 5x5 meter squares. So what we did was we gridded out 25 5x5 meter squares. In each square was going to be placed a different fertilizer. We have 5 different categories. We have full dose of H2H, as instructed by the manufacturer, full dose of Scott's, a half dose of H2H, nothing, and the compost that the school normally uses. The purpose of each of these plots and their different categories is to test for root density, grass length and growth, and the different microorganisms living inside the soil. This project has lasted about 3.5 months now, 4 months, and we plan to keep taking samples once a month until the frost grows, and then we're going to stop for a few months until it warms up again. Over the summer, we've been monitoring various different variables. We've been monitoring the rainfall, the temperature, and then in the colder months, we've been measuring how low it gets to make sure the grass doesn't freeze, because freezing would kill the microorganisms living in the soil. And once a month, we've been taking soil samples from the grass in each different plot using PVC pipe. Essentially, all you do is shove the PVC pipe into the ground really, really hard and pull up, and you get grass on the top and soil on the bottom. Then we wrap it in cling film and we put it in a box. Then we take that box, which has all 25 samples from every single plot, and then we take that data and send it over to the people at Rutgers, who have a specialized lab for analyzing soil data. The time elapsed between each fertilization process is given in explicit details listed on given by each manufacturer. And then obviously for the squares that have nothing on it, we didn't touch, and there was no fertilization at all. To control for runoff, we measured a buffer zone, a 1 meter buffer zone around each plot. So in the 5x5 meter plot, there's actually only 4x4 meters that is actually covered with the fertilizer, and it said each square has a rim surrounded by 1 meter of a buffer zone to avoid contamination from runoff. And then in the middle, you can see there's a gap between each plot. The purpose of the gaps was that there's a manhole in the middle of the grass. And so to avoid complications, we left a significant area untouched. And now we'll look at the results. This is the spreadsheet of the results we got back from the soil samples sent to Rutgers. The most important thing to look at here is the percent organic matter. We determined that the more effective the fertilizer is, the higher percent organic matter there is. So the most significant results we got were of the half dose of H2H at 7.64. The next highest percent organic matter was the full dose of H2H at 7.1. This then supports the hypothesis that the H2H fertilizer is the most effective fertilizer, according to the percent organic matter. And just to clarify, this spreadsheet that you're looking at here is the same as the one before. The only difference is now that you can see the half and half dose and its results. This spreadsheet shows you the data we collected here at school. This shows you the average grass height based on the category of the fertilizer. And the color-coded chart below is to show you the regions that had the most growth. So that right-hand corner with the green is the more growth compared to the median. And that growth in the corner is H2H.